Hi, Warriors. Today we are going to do a lab to investigate if food actually has energy. We have been talking a lot about that, about how food provides our body with energy, but we haven't proven yet that food contains energy. And one way that we can try and prove that is to see if it can go through a chemical reaction. We can't dive into our bodies and investigate that chemical reaction. So instead, we're going to take a tortilla chip and we're going to light it on fire. Lighting it on fire is going to help us observe if the chemical reaction takes place or not. So remember what a chemical reaction is. A chemical reaction is when reactants, the old stuff, turn into products, new stuff. So if we have something happen and an old thing turns into something new, we've had a chemical reaction. In order for that to happen, energy must be involved. So, to prove that food has energy, we can show that food goes through a chemical reaction. In this dome you see right here, I have a tortilla chip, an oxygen sensor, and a carbon dioxide sensor. I have this dome over them so that I can create what's called a closed system. I don't want any gases to be able to escape or enter the system so I can get accurate measurements. So I have my tortilla chip, I've put it in a mortar, and I put it on top of this beaker just to lift it up so you can see a little better. I have a carbon dioxide detector, and I have an oxygen detector. I'm going to put those into my dome and take some initial measurements. So these would be considered my reactants. They're the things that I start with. I'm going to measure how much oxygen I have, how much carbon dioxide I have, and the chip is present. So if I press here and press start, you'll see that at the beginning, we have 20.7% oxygen and no parts per million carbon dioxide. So next up, I'm going to light this chip on fire. Then we're going to see how my rates change or my numbers change. But wait, I've got to do a few things first, especially if I'm dealing with fire. Anybody have any ideas? Kind of take a look. What have I done well? What have I not done well? If you're thinking I have to put my goggles on my eyes instead of on my head, you're exactly right. I have my apron on, so I'm protecting my clothes. And my desk is nicely cleared off. So I am ready to go now. I'm going to go ahead and light our chip. I've made sure it's lifted up on the mortar. Notice I'm also keeping my eye on the flame. This is definitely a don't try this at home. Or if you do, make sure it's in the company of an adult. Okay, we've got the chip pretty well burning, so I want to get it back in that closed system so that I can control how much gas is coming in and going out. I'm going to quickly turn off the lights and bring your camera a little closer so that you can see what's happening. As you can see, that chip is on fire. You can tell that there's a little flame there flickering in the middle. And then the dome is also getting really foggy. That's not the camera. It's actually the flame. All right, it is still burning and it's almost going out. So we're going to continue to let that burn. Notice that the smoke is filling up inside the dome. Again, the dome is creating a closed system and the flame just went out. So let's take our new data. Okay,
If you take a look again, let me see, the glare is not great. We have some very significantly different numbers here. Number one, our oxygen level has dropped to 17.2%. So it's gone from 20.6 to 17.2. And remember, we started with no carbon dioxide. Well, now we're over 23,000 parts per million. What do you think's going on there? We had no carbon dioxide at the beginning, and now there is carbon dioxide. So what does that mean? Where did that carbon dioxide come from? Where did that oxygen go? Why is there only 17% and not 23? Where did this smoke come from? Take a look at it leaving. I'm going to stink Miss Schoenhardt out of this room because of the smokiness. If you take a look at the chip, and I have let it cool down a little bit so it's not too hot anymore, notice that there's been a color change. This does not look like the tortilla chip we started with. I see brown and black. It's also much more fragile than it was before. It would probably taste different. So a lot of things have actually changed within this chip. This chip does not look like a chip anymore. It's different. All right, we're going to discuss this more as a class. So I will meet you in the Google Meet and we'll unpack all of this.